There we go.
Hello, Lenny. How are you?
There we are.
Nice
We're good.
seeing you, and thank you for this interview. You're coming. I'm gonna start right away, okay?
Yeah, let's
So
go.
you're coming back to Latin America, and then next month, and you'll be performing two shows in our country, in Chile, in December. Tell us a little bit about what we'll see and hear from you on those shows.
What you will see and hear.
Yeah.
Music, spirit, love. Uh, it's all about the experience of being together, me being with the people that support my music and that live with my music, that give me life, and I'm there to pay tribute to them. And that's how I feel about it. It's a very personal experience. Um, I have an amazing new band that's been put together, a mix of some of my older musicians and newer musicians, new music, classic music, all mixed up. And I'm really excited to be coming back.
Great. And so let's talk a little bit about Blue Electric Light, your last album. Tour is also named Blue Electric Light. So I was wondering if this image of some electric blue light comes from anywhere.
Well, as I finished the album, I didn't have a title for the album. And one night in my sleep, as I do, I wrote a song that was given to me, called Blue Electric Light. And I was recording it the next day, and Craig Ross, who is my longtime partner in the studio, said to me, "That's the title of the album."
Okay.
And I thought, really? And I went home after listening to the song and thinking about it, and it embodied everything that I had done on that album, the experience. The Blue Electric Light to me is God, it's spirituality, it's energy, it's love. And so, but yet it's abstract, it's not literal.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was the perfect title, and I loved it. And so that's where it came from. Yeah.
You wrote and recorded, I understand, these new songs mostly in the Bahamas during the pandemic. Is that right? So
Yes.
did that specific context, the pandemic context, had some impact on your writing, on the way your approach to music?
Pandemic, not the pandemic as to what it was, but the opportunity in this very challenging time for everybody to be alone, isolated on an island for 2.5 years or 3 years, whatever it was that I was there. So it gave me the time to create, to live, to listen, to be grounded, to not move around, to not be told I had to be here or there, or do this or do that. It was a very interesting time, unlike anything I've ever experienced. Even when you're a kid, you have to go to school, you have to do this, you have things to do, this was a completely free time for me. And I used that time to create many different things, and this is one of them.
Yeah. And I've read also that you have enough material for like 3 albums, 2 more albums. So
yeah, they're actually all different. They're all different. It wasn't like they all have the spirit of Blue Electric Light. Each album sounds completely different from the other. Yeah.
So
Yes.
they are different cycles. They're
Yes,
different to one another. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
So how do you plan to release that material that's still unreleased?
Well, I'm putting finishing touches on it now when I get the time, which is not much because I've been on the road so much. but I just had a few days off in Paris, and I, listened and worked on some details, but they're pretty much finished already. I'm just getting them prepared so that when the time comes, I can release whichever one I want to next, and we'll continue. But it's a blessing to have three albums worth of material ready to go.
Yeah.
Meaning there won't be big breaks in between each project.
So your song TK-41 is named after an Empire soldier from Star Wars. So where did that come from?
It's that reference has been used not only by George Lucas in Star Wars, but also Paul Thomas Anderson in Boogie Nights, which is where I got it from.
Okay, so tell me about it.
Well, it's a very long story, but basically, there's a scene in the movie where one of the characters works in a stereo store.
Yeah.
And he's trying to sell this stereo to somebody, and he's telling them, if you want the stereo to really sound amazing, even better than it does, you have to get the TK-421 modification, which is something that they do in the back, and you have to pay extra for it. So it's one of my favorite movies, and it's one of my favorite scenes. And so I sort of took that as a metaphor for something that makes something better than it is. So for TK-421, it's about living your life without fear, really experiencing everything at its highest level. So that's how I took it. But yes, Paul Thomas Anderson was referring, I'm sure George Lucas is maybe one of his favorite directors, and Star Wars might be one of his favorite films. So he took the letters and the numbers from the Stormtrooper in Star Wars, and then I took it from Paul Thomas Anderson and made a song from it. Yeah.
I think in Boogie Nights, one of the characters, and there's a scene where one of the characters is hearing a Rick Springfield song, and I think that it's on that equipment, on that stereo.
That's such a great scene. He's listening on a Nakamichi Dragon, which is the cassette player that when it ends the song, it turns around and plays the other side. And it's Albert Molino, I believe, is the actor's name, and they're lighting firecrackers. The guy behind him, and he's in his robe, and they're all coked up, and yeah, it's quite a scene.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
And he's playing Jesse's girl.
Yeah, Jesse's girl. That's right. Yeah. Through several songs in Blue Electric Light, one can hear echoes of the electro-funk sound of bands like the Gap Band, Cameo, and obviously Prince also. Were those some of the influences on this work?
Well, that time, see, previous to the pandemic, I spent a couple of years writing a book called Let Love Rule that came out about my life from birth to the first album, about 24 years old. And when the pandemic started, and before I started this album, like right in the beginning, the book, I was doing promotion for the book from the Bahamas, from my computer, just as we're talking now, because obviously we were all under lockdown, right? And I was by myself. So I think because the book focuses on those years, I spent a lot of time re-exploring my life, especially high school, junior high and high school, my teenage years. And in that time, that's what I was listening to. All of that great music by those funk pop artists. So I think that when I started the album, that spirit, because I was talking about it so much and reliving it, that's the sound that came through the album. And as I've said, this album is sort of the album that I never made as a teenager.
Okay.
So we've only heard what I did from Let Love Rule, forward.
Mhm.
If I had released an album when I was 16 or 17, it would have sounded very much like Blue Electric Light.
Wow. And were you like mentally moved to that time when you were a teenager writing the
it
songs?
happened naturally. It happened naturally. Just like I said, from writing the book and spending so much time in those years, I guess it opened up some sort of portal to that time, and that's what came through. Yeah.
Well, Lenny, you have been officially recognized as a music icon in the People's Choice Awards, as a fashion icon by the Council of Fashion Designers of America. Is there anything else that you'd like to be an icon of?
Look, I'm very appreciative of all of those things. When anybody gives you flowers, recognition, whatever you want to call it, it's a wonderful thing, and I'm full of gratitude. I don't think about awards. I don't do it for awards. The award is the life I'm living. The award is the process of creativity. So that's why I do it. And, you know, when these things happen, it's lovely. And I do take the time to acknowledge and to have the gratitude, because you know, when I was in my 20s and these things were happening to me, awards and things, and I never took the time to enjoy that moment. I was so concentrated on moving forward that I didn't take the time to enjoy those moments. So now when they happen, I take the moment, I take a breath. You know, I was in New York a few weeks ago, or whenever that was, and you know, got the MTV award for, you know, the rock video, and it felt good, you know, and I took the time to take it in. And you know, the last time that my mother was with me at any sort of award thing was the MTV Music Awards 30 years ago, you know. So it just took me back to that time of my mother and enjoying that moment with her. And here we are again. And so whatever comes, comes. But I'm thankful. Each day of life is an award for all of us.
Yeah, and at the end of the road, it's about the people we love, isn't it?
Absolutely. And sharing those moments with people that I love, you know.
Thank you very much, Lenny, for this time, for this conversation.
Nice to meet you. Pleasure.
We're really looking forward to see you here again. Bye.
Thank you. Soon.